I did not mean to do that. I was wiping off my I was wiping off my little keyboard pad and yeah. I didn't mean to do that. Kelly, you want to turn your light on?
Yeah, I will. Well, Janessa wasn't ready yet, so I figured I got a little more time.
Yeah, I didn't know that was you. I thought Janessa was out of breath.
Oh no, that was me. Oh,
because she was moving them things and whatnot.
Oh, I thought it was me walking from one room to the next. I was like, dang.
No, it was you. It was you.
I'm just saying, I thought it was her because she was the one actually doing something.
I mean, I'm locking up now, but I won't be home for like another 10 minutes. I gotta drive there. The creepiness. This is why I'm glad y'all with me. You see where I have to go in the forest?
Oh man.
Oh wow.
I look like some wrong turns.
I'm out here.
Looks like heaven to me.
Yeah, but no joke. Like there's empty condoms out here. There are beer bottles. That's it. Out of here. Yeah.
Empty condoms.
Like open.
What's a full condom look like?
No, I said they're open condoms. Like
I thought you said empty.
I was trying to see if any was out here, but like
don't pick it up.
Full condom.
Oh no.
The meat is still in it.
But it's.
I was gonna say that's a dude.
It's a mess out here.
Gotcha. All right. Well, I guess for the sake of time, we can just go ahead and rock out and. What's up? What
no, I was gonna say I was gonna throw out the topic for next week since everybody wants them ahead of time.
Well, you can do it after we're done recording. We're recording right now. We don't want to.
All right.
Spoil it.
I thought we were waiting for Janessa. My bad.
I literally just said we're gonna go ahead and get started.
Okay.
Literally. Just said. Right, that's a beautiful salad. Did you just get that from Janessa's garden? Jesus Christ, that shit look fresh as hell.
It's a lettuce wrap.
Oh, that's why the lettuce is so big. Okay.
Yeah. one piece of lettuce.
Right. Jeez. All right. Kelly.
I need a fork. Hold on. Well, you can boom shakalaka.
Top of the world. Top of the world. Yeah, top of the world. Top of the world. Yeah, top of the world. Top of the world. Yeah, top of the world. Top of the world. Yeah, top of the world.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of the Worst Ones podcast. We are preacher's kids. We are here. We have a podcast. This is what we do every single week. And we want you guys to listen. My name is Rudy Wilson. I am a PK. We got Kellie Leasy in the building. She's a PK. Terry Weezy, he's a PK. And Janessa Rowland is somewhere out there in the iCloud and the cloud.
She out in the sticks.
She is. She's on the movie set Wrong Turn. If you've seen the Freak Show, seen that street she's on, but she's a PK. Lord walk with her in her little journey. Kelly, why are you looking so crazy? Are you chewing? Like your loud ass sound. But how you doing, Kelly? How you been? Let's start with you. Yeah. I said
I know you just didn't say Kelly seen me chewing.
Yeah, I did. That's why I did it.
Like I know you did. He said Terry, right? And then it was quiet. I was like, well, maybe he said me.
Yeah, no, definitely you.
How considerate of my dinner.
Absolutely.
I'm doing well. Man, still summertime, still chilling. Social calendar's been on 100 these past couple of days. My life is social calendar. My life is feast or famine. That's what my mother called it. I either have nothing going on and I'm bored and lonely at home by myself, or I have like something all of the time every day. Okay. So this week I've had something all of the time every day. So social calendar has been good. It's been a good time. Then next week, I'm going to need the time to myself because a lot of socialness. Then I need to come down and be by myself for a minute. That's just kind of how I am. But I'm good. Like I said, another week and a half of summer, so I'm enjoying every bit of it.
Gotcha. I don't know if I ever heard. I don't know if I ever heard the term social calendar, but
A social calendar, yeah, because my social calendar be real bland sometimes.
I have. You're not alone here, Kelly.
Thank you.
Well, no, I'm sure a lot of people have. I'm just saying I've never heard it. I've never heard a social calendar, but that's
well, in our case, it would be your comedic calendar because that's your comedy calendar plus your social calendar. So,
right. I mean, I get it. I just never heard it referred to as that. Like, you know, my social calendar. Like, I actually have a calendar for my social life. Like, that's a
lot of people do.
I get it,
but popular people, but not like me.
Gotcha. All right. Where's the lettuce wrap from?
Cheesecake Factory.
What?
I was waiting for Terry. What's your commentary on Cheesecake Factory, Terry? I knew it was coming.
My only thing about the Cheesecake Factory is any place with a menu that's over 5 pages. Nope. You can't have that many things on the menu and do them all awesome.
I agree with that.
You know, you just can't. So I stayed away. I haven't been to a Cheesecake Factory in probably 10 years. So
I enjoyed my time today. Ever since Terry talked about Olive Garden there one time, I knew that he was going to say something about cheesecake.
No. Olive Garden is, Cheesecake Factory is far superior to Olive Garden.
Wait, what?
All right. So, Janessa, how you doing?
Right.
Yeah, 100%. It doesn't make it good, but that's how bad Olive Garden is.
What? Oh, yeah. Janessa, how you doing?
Janessa, how you doing? You're on mute. You're on mute, Janessa.
I'm tired. I'm hot. I'm sweating. This was not what I had planned to do today.
Gotcha.
But I'm here. So I'm looking home, trying to get to the podcast to be with y'all.
And what exactly were you just doing?
So one of the systems that I run, the helium was empty, the cylinder. And so I had to go out there and change it because we're technically, like, legally and regulations are supposed to run 24/7. So if we're down, like if I would have just not come back out here tonight, it would have just been down till 8 o'clock, 9 a.m. tomorrow, and we would have lost a lot of data. So comes with the job. You got to be on call. I would have to go out there like at 2 a.m. But, you know, while the sun is up, I'm on call. So
gotcha.
Sun's out, buns out. Yeah.
I'm saying there's no lights out there at all. I'm assuming, right? Yeah.
No, there are a lot of wildlife. I've seen a couple of days ago. It was like 3 or 4 deer family out there. Right. Turkeys, turtles.
Definitely in the Atlanta area. I don't know if people realize how many deer are in that area. Like they be out there deering, boy.
For sure. So there's no lights. It's in the middle of the forest.
Well, bless their dear hearts.
Good one, Terry. Right.
But how far is that away, Janessa, from, say, like, what's your closest gas station? You know?
Well, I'm actually sitting in the gas station parking lot right now.
So not far. Got it.
No, it's like maybe a mile and a half.
Because you were talking about condoms and beer bottles and stuff, and I'm like, all right, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, there's people dump their trash in front of the gate out there. Like, it's all crazy stuff. So I try to go, during the daylight hours because I don't want to be caught out there and somebody's doing something else.
Well, I was just curious as to how far in the sticks you actually were. Yeah.
Well, there's a residential. It's actually, I don't know how much I can say. Y'all aren't supposed to know what this location is, but it's a residential area, and it's actually a large college nearby. A lot of people don't even know that we're there, but where we are is in the sticks. It's up in there.
Well, I don't think anybody's going to geomap it and go looking for it, but
you'll be surprised. I've driven out of my field site sometimes, and I've actually had a woman stop me and was like, "Can you tell me what's up there?" And then she tried to drive up there herself as I was locking the gate, and I've had someone recently. We saw someone walking down with a pool cart. So safety is an issue, and they're investing in cameras and other stuff. So people actually do be out there.
Mm.
So.
Is helium worth that much?
Helium, yeah, I guess so. But I mean, there's a whole bunch of other stuff. It's the largest air monitoring site in the southeast region of the United States. So there's a lot of equipment out there, and yeah, my system alone, just one piece of equipment was $120,000. Like,
woo.
Yeah. So
I'm in the wrong business.
Yeah. I'm just gonna leave.
I need to be selling that equipment.
Huh?
I said I'm in the wrong business. I need to be selling that equipment.
Me too. Me too. I'm in the wrong
Go get an engineering degree.
My dad already got one.
Oh, well, have him build it for you.
I'm just investing one that already exists.
But yeah.
All right. Well, Terry Wayne, how you doing?
All right, I guess. Talking about moving, so
to like a different city and state or
country. But yeah, different country. I'm getting a real vibe lately. I can kind of I can usually smell when crazy's coming, so it's been talked about. You know, last time I smelled crazy, I was right. So I'm trying to trust that instinct. But
where are you looking at moving?
Still do this. Spain or Ireland?
You and your girlfriend?
Yeah. Yeah. Wouldn't be bad to have a kid with dual citizenship.
Oh, Terry talking about some kids too?
She's talking about kids.
I don't know if I ever heard Terry talk about kids.
She wants my seed. What can I say?
I didn't know Terry wanted kids.
Terry's on the fence about it, but but she wants my seed for sure. So.
Okay.
And I'm a hospitable person, so.
Terry's talking about some kids.
But it's new.
Can you imagine what kind of human being I would raise? Because I can't figure it. What kind of kid? They would either like change the world or be in prison. You know, like I'm either gonna raise Einstein or Jeffrey Dahmer, one or the other.
I can see why you said
that. Can you? All right, because I can too.
Yeah, I can see why you said that.
I told you I can smell crazy. You think I can't smell it on myself?
Well, I'm glad that you have someone who loves you and wants to have a kid with you.
She does. She very much wants my. Yeah, she very much wants my kid. Kellie she very much loves me.
That was coming from her heart. Like she was like, I'm glad you actually got somebody who wants to have a kid.
No, Terry's a good dude.
No. I ain't talking about because of Terry. I'm talking about because of you.
Oh no,
I'm talking about because Kellie wanted it.
There's
Kellie wants somebody to love her and have a kid with her. That's what she like. She's like, well, I'm glad you actually got because one of us. At least one of us.
Well, there have been many. There have been many before that wanted to have a kid with me. This is the only one. This is the first one, at least, that I'm okay with. I know, but I am. So.
No, 40,
41. Yeah, 41? I'm 41.
What was you gonna guess, Kellie? I felt like was you gonna say 41 or you?
Yeah, I said 41. I thought it was 41.
She was like 49. Oh, one.
No. You just turned 40. I just can't remember if that was this year or last year.
She was like, "No, you look 41 on the nose."
You said 50. Oh, 40. Well, okay.
Do I look 50? I don't know. I can never tell.
No, you look 41, honestly.
Yeah, I feel 41.
Yeah.
That's. But no, this is the only one I've ever entertained the idea of actually doing it.
So do you? And I'm about to go off topic for a second. But as a preacher's kid, Would you have a baby outside of wedlock, or would you marry her first? Or do you feel like it's needed? Is it necessary to get married?
No, marriage is a human invention.
It's not of
Yeah.
God.
Okay, well, if her and I go to my dad and say, "Hey, marry us," and then we recite some words, he recites some words. Now we're married. The government won't accept that, as a marriage unless we fill out the proper documentation. But will God? So, you know. So it's like the difference between man's rules, and man's laws, and God's laws. If you say you're married to a person, you're married to him. At least in God's eyes, that's the way I see it.
In God's eyes, that's the way.
There was
you
no.
see it.
Well, I'm
That's
saying,
not wrong.
Well, no, I'm saying, like, in my opinion, is that if you say you're married and you make the same vows to each other, I would imagine that in God's eyes that would be enough. Like, I don't think there's any clerk's office in heaven being like, well, you didn't file the 5-4 form, so I don't know. I don't think it really works that way spiritually.
So can somebody just say they're a pastor without, I guess, the proper documentation?
Yeah, actually can and have.
But I'm not talking about like physically doing it. I'm saying, can they, in the sense of it be good in God's eyes?
Whatever God they're saying they're a disciple of, it really would depend on that, wouldn't it?
I'm talking about Christian God, Christian pastors. If somebody just say, I'm asking, can somebody do the same thing you said they can do with marriage? Can somebody do that with becoming a pastor? Is my question.
I think Jesus did that, if I'm not mistaken.
Jesus wasn't a pastor. He wasn't a pastor.
You wouldn't define his disciples and his followers as a church?
No, he wasn't a pastor of a church, is what I'm saying. Like, Jesus wasn't a pastor. He was the Son of God. Like, he wasn't just because he went around preaching and had a following doesn't automatically equate him to being a pastor.
I think you just defined the word pastor.
No, not necessarily. Because a pastor is somebody who's like in charge of like a flock. He wasn't like dealing with just one flock. He was literally going around and spreading it to everybody. He wasn't like, he didn't have like these set members that was like, that he was in charge of to make sure this group is good. It was more of an everybody thing.
Sure.
So that's what I'm saying. He wasn't a pastor.
Okay. I got nothing for you, man.
No, I got nothing for you. What happened with Janessa? But yeah, I mean, it's with the whole.
I'm pretty sure Jesus was the pastor. I
don't understand why he has to be a pastor at all. It's not like a pastor is like the highest honor. It's like, somebody had to be the pastor, and it's Jesus.
When I say the word pastor, I'm talking about a religious leader. Not just somebody in charge of the building. You
could be anything about a building. I'm talking about a flock of people.
Well, I understand that.
Even if they're outside, that's in the definition of pastor.
Well, in that definition that you just said, every cult leader is a pastor as well.
I mean, sure, whatever sure, yeah.
Well, I don't, but that's what I'm saying. I don't subscribe to the same idealism.
I'm just saying Jesus wasn't a pastor. I mean, what happens with anybody else? I don't know.
I know.
But going back to Kellie's question about the whole PK thing, because that actually ties into what we're going to talk about today. Now you already made it clear that you're not giving a shit in reference to getting married as a result of being a PK and feeling like you have to, do the right thing because of that pressure. But I did want to pose the question: if your PK run came to an end, would things change? Tara, from your answer just now, you seem a little, already decided. But Kellie, I definitely think of you in this question, Janessa, whenever you come back from your disappearing act or lack of service or whatever's happening. This question is for you as well. But I know y'all definitely came to this podcast with more values, to worry about than me and Terry, or even if we had the same amount, me and him didn't care and y'all did.
What?
Well, as far as we were way more open with just say our who we were, as opposed to they were kind of more reserved and even still were kind of in that PK bubble as far as I don't want to do certain things because of the representation of my peoples. But if that stopped today for whatever reason, good or bad, would you operate differently now that you don't have that pressure anymore, or would you still feel like you have to keep it up because of what has already been?
Doesn't change a thing.
Nope, me neither. wouldn't change a thing. I look at it and saying,
can Kelly finish her answer, please?
Oh, okay. I thought that was her answer. My bad.
But yeah, no, it wouldn't change a thing. One, I've been a preacher's kid all my life. A pastor's kid, I don't know, however many years, but a preacher's kid I've been all of my life. And so it is very much just a part of who I am. So I don't think that if all of a sudden my father was no longer a pastor, I don't know, Green went bankrupt and there was a big scandal and everybody had to step down. I don't.
It's happened to me. Yeah.
And you could tell that story. Yeah, I don't think it would change anything. I think that not as far as me feeling like the things that I do because I'm a preacher's kid, or the things that I do to, you know what? As I'm talking.
Get the evolution of this conversation. This
right.
Yeah.
As I'm talking. So I don't know. So let me not be conservative, Kelly, for once in life. So if there was a scandal, right? So let's say that there was some big scandal and they didn't tarnish the lead name and they, I don't know, got tax fraud
or had an affair with a member of the congregation, got him pregnant.
They had some affairs.
Yeah.
My uncle and my daddy had some kids out of wedlock with some other women. And, now if they didn't tarnish the name first.
What I do from here.
Then let me follow suit. Maybe. Let me not be good girl, Kelly. Let me not be.
Depends on how we got out of ministry.
You know what? I may be able to slide a couple more things in here. Let me put some more pictures on Instagram with my bathing suit on. Let me.
Sorry.
Jesus Christ.
It comes fast. I'm sorry.
But Kelly, do you think that you would ever have the thought that you would need to just say do right because you trying to save the family name, or would you still be like, well, we already here,
because see, I always operate in do what's right first, right? So that's just typical Kelly. And so, like I said, when you first ask, my first brain goes to nothing changes, let me continue to
do what's right, Kelly.
Huh?
I'm just laughing that you called yourself do what's right, Kelly.
right. Nothing changes. We go forth, as we were, right. Let me keep the name as in higher regard as possible. Let's not say the whole family corrupt. I knew it, with the church. I knew it. I always knew there was something wrong with Kelly. Like that don't surprise me.
Right.
So I would like to think that just me being who I am is probably in real life the way I would go. It's like, let me continue to uphold the name. Let me continue to be as good as a preacher's kid as I am. or whatever. But like I said, there's another side of me that says, hey, y'all done messed it up for all of us. Let me go and do a thing or two too. And hope that the previous covering still cover me from the consequences of my behaviors. Oh no. Like I said, the good girl, for all our listeners, good girl Kellie would want to continue. Nothing would change. That was my first thought. But I may throw an extra scene and two in there.
Okay. Terry, go ahead. What you was gonna say?
I can't even remember. I can't.
You said nothing would change. There was a scandal at your.
Oh no. I mean, I'm saying nothing would change because I don't define the values of right and wrong based solely on Christianity or the Bible. I think God gave you a conscience for a reason. I mean, we're the only animal on the earth that has a conscience. You realize that? So it's obviously, I've always believed, even since I was a teenager, that your conscience is your connection to God. When you do something wrong and you feel that guilt inside you, that's him telling you, like, yeah, you messed up, make it right. And then when you do make it right, that alleviates that weight, that guilt that comes off you. And I don't think people pay enough. I think people get way too into the dogma of religions and just say, as long as I do this, this, and this, I'm going to be set and blah, blah, blah. No, I really believe, and I know my father does as well, it's more about a personal connection than anything else. So when you do wrong, you feel wrong. And when you do right, you feel right. So just do right by, how you feel. And I don't mind skipping church on Sunday because it doesn't make me feel bad. But if I do something to hurt somebody else and then I see the outcome of my poor decisions, that makes me feel guilty. That makes me feel wrong. That's God telling me you messed up.
So you only feel like you're doing wrong when you can see it's wrong?
See it? No, you just feel it.
I'm saying see the effect in somebody else. What I'm saying. Like you wouldn't have any other indication?
No, I wouldn't. No, I wouldn't have to see it. Like I wouldn't have to see I mean, that's just the way I said it. But no, it's not locked in. We're not creating new dogma now. It's not locked into one thing. It's like art. It's like what they say about art. If you ask somebody to define art and they say, well, I can't define it, but I know it when I see it, it's the same thing. You feel it when you do wrong. If I was to steal something from my neighbor,
right,
I would feel incredibly bad. But if I was to steal something from Walmart, I would feel nothing. You know what I mean?
No, I got you. So going back to the question a little bit, as far as if your PK run ended with things change. So
no, I'd still be the same guy.
No. I'm not asking that. I'm saying I understand where you're at right now because I think you've made that clear even before this question was even posed. But I've kind of alluded to it with my personal life with saying, like, if I was in a different situation, maybe I would be different. But I guess I want to ask you the same question. Like, let's just say, like, not saying that your dad was Joel Osteen, but let's say if he had Joel Osteen, like, notoriety, if you will. Would
there was a time.
Would that make you operate different now? Even just say, like, doing this podcast, like, would you look at just how you operate in like, would things change for you then if you had to deal with that level of, just say, stardom in your father?
I mean, to be honest, I kind of did. Like my dad was a pretty big deal back in the day. Like, not now, but back in the day, like, he was listed as one of the top 100 pastors in the country. He ran for political office down in Broward when I was younger. He challenged the mayor on certain things. Like, he was in the paper and, a lot. And, there was a certain amount of stardom. There really was. Like just being his son, I was known in the community. Like people who I'd never even met would come up and know who I was. And I mean, it was a different time back then. There was no internet, no social media, no cell phones, no nothing. So people really relied on those local papers. So making it onto the front page of your local paper was a huge deal. So like, and there was a fall from grace, and that was also published in the paper. So it didn't, if anything, it opened my eyes to kind of some of the vulnerabilities in a church. Kind of some of the real chinks in the armor. Because I mean, when all that happened, like it was devastating to everybody. The church members, the church members, the community, obviously our family, blah blah blah. But it didn't change my morality, and that I think that's what it comes down to is morality. You're just making a choice of what kind of person you're going to be. And if that's based in spirituality, if that's based on the Bible, if it's based on Christianity, that's one thing. But there are certain other people in the world that do things that we would find incredibly immoral, but to them it's moral. It just depends on your belief system and how you were raised. It's more environmental than instinct, obviously. And we've had that conversation, if you were born in Iran, you probably wouldn't be Christian, but I think there is a human morality that kind of supersedes that. And I think that man kind of messes it up just to put it in these, because we have to quantify everything and put them in little boxes and categorize everything.
Gotcha. Going back to my question, and I'm asking more specifically, like now, like, and shout out to your pops and everything that he did. But I'm saying if your dad had the Joel Osteen stardom, and you were, I'm talking about right now, like as an adult, not necessarily even just growing up with him. Like, would that make you move differently in reference to being on a podcast where you make smoke, drink, or whatever, or doing comedy or whatever it is that you do?
Oh, so you're saying if he had the notoriety right now and all eyes on me kind of a thing,
correct.
To see how I act, would I be?
Would you still be who we know you to be right now, or
would I be a Don Jr. or a Hunter Biden? I got it. No, I mean, look, I feel like I've always thought it was very important for every person to take ownership over their own existence, right? Now, that means having certain responsibilities, including to your family. So if you're the kind of person that takes your responsibility seriously, then yeah, you would temper your behavior. You would temper your public appearance as to not hurt a member of your family. But not everybody's like that. And, if you want to smoke crack and that's what you want your existence to be, I don't think any amount of your parents' influence is going to stop that.
Right.
Positive or negative. And, just we're flawed as people. And when we accept that, we become better people. So would it change me? No, not really. I don't think there's a lot of things environmentally that could change that would make me a different person than I am right now. But I also don't believe that I'm the majority of people either. Because I definitely see that. I don't think, like I just mentioned Hunter Biden and Don Jr., I don't think either of those people would be the same if their fathers weren't in politics.
Gotcha.
So, but I also think it's a terrible thing to do. It's a terrible thing to reject your own existence and just put on a show for everybody so that they can feel better and have something to believe in. I don't think that's genuine, and I don't think it's right morally or spiritually.
Gotcha. Janessa, what about you? If your PK run came to an end, would things change?
Things change how? What do you mean?
Well, I know you didn't hear Kelly's answer, but so she kind of started off with saying like, no, things would be exactly the same, yada yada yada. But then she thought about, she was like, well, I guess it depends on why things came to an end. Because like if there was a big scandal and there's a big money scandal, or my dad and my uncle, meaning her, my dad and my uncle, had like a bunch of babies around here, something like that, then she may go ahead and tag along to the
some extra sins on the lead name.
to the sinful streak that the lead name had already created. So just things change just in general, like because we've all to different degrees, but we've all moved a certain way based off of who our parents are, whether it was public decisions, private decisions, whatever. Like we've all that it's had some effect because of who our parents are, who our dads even are specifically. So if that came to an end for whatever reasons you decide you want to go from, would things change in any form or fashion?
I'm sure some things would change, but I think the difference with my parents is they have very well-known personas, or whatever you want to call it, even outside the church. My dad's a well-known athlete. Even at Georgia Tech, he's in the Hall of Fame, the Georgia Tech Athletic Hall of Fame. So, he has that going on. He's been on plenty of other boards and whatever. He has excelled academically. My dad has degrees from Harvard. My mom's a doctor. Like, they just kind of have identities within church and outside of church. To a high level to a certain extent. And so I feel like the eye or the pressure would still be on, just maybe in a different way. It might not be so much throwing the Bible at me, but to some, I would still be held to a very high level of excellence.
Right.
Just because that's the standard that my family has set. I mean, even beyond me, my siblings, and my parents, I mean, like grandparents, aunts, uncles, like everybody set the standard high. So I don't think I would just be out here wilding out,
Right.
But in terms of like churches, I don't know, because I feel like right now I think the pandemic helped a little bit. I'm not pressed to be at church like I used to be. And that was a big thing. I never thought I would ever be comfortable not going to church on a weekly basis. But then the pandemic hit and it kind of forced us to do things differently. But now, since we, kind of transitioning back or whatever, I'm still really good at watching it on the couch. You know what I'm saying? Like and that's if I watch it on the couch, sometimes I might not watch it. So, but I also think
sinner.
I'm learning. I think I'm also unlearning some stuff, especially when it comes to religion and church. And I think the pandemic showed a lot of churches and Christians that we do a lot of stuff out of, I don't know, routine, may not have any real biblical standing. It might just be something that we've just always done. And so been doing it for the past 125 years or whatever. Right. And so I feel like I'm already on this little personal journey of figuring out who I am at this phase in my life. And for me, this phase in my life is to a certain extent a detachment from my parents, because I was with my parents for so long. I feel like my identity was kind of wrapped up in them, even into my 30s. I'm 33 now, and I'm kind of going through the process of just kind of figuring out who am I going to be in this space. So even though obviously my dad is still a pastor, that has not changed. I feel like I'm operating to a certain extent in some ways as if my PK run has ended, because I feel like I don't even do a lot of the stuff that I was doing as a PK. Right. And I'm gonna be real honest. Since the pandemic, there's a lot of church people, and there's nothing against them, that I haven't even had a conversation with. I just haven't seen them, or haven't had choir rehearsal,
right,
or the ministry council meeting where I would typically see them. So that's kind of different too. So I don't know.
So not to tap into this too much, but going back to what you were saying as far as post pandemic, not feeling, you not realizing that you could have that feeling of like, yo, I'm actually cool with not going or whatever. Do you think that's because a routine was finally broken and you just seen it from a different angle? And the reason why I asked that is because I remember the first time I the first New Year's Eve that I didn't like attend like a watch night service, whatever, right? And it's really because the church I was at, we just didn't have one. You know what I'm saying? And so of course I was toying with like, well, maybe I'll just find another one to go to. But then I just was like, I'm gonna just try just not going. I'm gonna just see what happens. Because before you may think if y'all go to watch night, my whole year finna be hell.
That was me. Like, to be in the church.
If I don't cross into that new year, praying on my knees or whatever. You know what I'm saying? But then you don't go 1 year and it's like you had the best year of your life. And it's like, wait a minute. Like, wait, I didn't go to watch night this year. This was actually, you know what I'm saying?
And so breaking a mirror isn't 7 years bad luck either.
No, for sure. But you know what I'm saying? But you get caught up in this routine. And it's not that anybody ever told me that if you don't go to watch night, something bad will happen. But it just was something I always did growing up. Like, I just always knew on New Year's Eve we was going to watch night service and then go eat breakfast afterwards or whatever the case may be. Like it became routine. So that's where that question is stemming from, Janessa. So I'm asking when the pandemic broke that, I guess, cycle for you, do you think it was because of a routine break that you were just in, like, and you just were kind of in that church mode because that's just what you always done, or did it help you see it some way different, or how did that play out?
At first it felt real weird. And I was trying to virtual stream church like 10 o'clock. I need to be not even 10 o'clock, 9:59. I need to be on it. You know what I'm saying? Because I was still trying to operate in that church mentality. I think the shift happened when, I don't know, for whatever reason, I feel like the pandemic gave people, not saying they couldn't do this before, but I'm just saying the pandemic just kind of opened the door for people to church hop. Even my own mom, she'll be like, yeah, I watch New Piney Grove and then I go watch New Beginning. And I might go watch Berea. And she liked to do all that. And the way churches are set up, you can go watch one church at 9, another church at 11, another church at 12, another church at 1 or whatever. And so I think what started happening for me is that I was like getting fed, still receiving the word, but just in a different way. And I had to ask myself, like, is God going to be mad that you got the word a different way? Or is he going to be mad that you didn't go to New Piney Grove? And so that's when the shift was like, it's more so about the relationship part. It's more so about your individual relationship with him. And now don't get me wrong, churches, I think there's definitely a place for church. I think there's definitely a place for community and fellowshipping with fellow Christians and outreach and all that stuff. Absolutely. But it's not, I think the way I was kind of viewing it beforehand, like it was an all or nothing. You either all in at the church or you just a heathen and you not. You know what I'm saying? It's like there's no in between.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know if that answered the question.
No, it does. It absolutely. Go ahead.
I don't think you guys are talking about morality, right or wrong. I think you're more talking about conditioning, which is, like I've never lived a day on this earth without my father being a pastor, right? He was a pastor 3 years before I even came into the world. And he's been a pastor every day since then. Now, sometimes he's had a church and a congregation and a building to go to. Sometimes he hasn't. Sometimes he's just a missionary. Right now, he's more of a traveling pastor than anything else. He might be in, Sweden or Norway next month, and then he might be in Nigeria the next, And speaking of which, like his work in Africa draws more crowds than anywhere else he's ever preached. I mean, when he goes to Africa to preach, you're talking about like 20,000 people come to listen to this. Like it's crazy. But I think the conditioning of it is more than anything, because that's what it is. We're conditioned to feel this way. Just like Janessa said, she might have felt bad about not going to church before. Well, that has nothing to do with God or spirituality or your connection to him. That has to do with the fact that you've been conditioned that if you don't go to church, you might catch the eye of somebody else in that church. You might catch ire for that. Somebody might be upset and be like, see, told you, and I think that has more to do with social functions than it has to do with spiritual functions.
Social calendar.
Yeah, social calendar. No, it's social accountability, if anything. It's other people saying, if you don't go to church, then you're wrong. And then it's you believing that. You know what I mean? Because some of the most spiritual people that I've ever met, I mean, people that I talk to that are really in tune with not only God, but spirituality, with the message. I think we miss the forest for the trees when we commit to that social aspect of church. And some of the most pious, some of the most arrogant, Philistines that I've ever met, they're in church 3 times a week, but they're there putting their own judgment on their other fellow Christians, right, which is detrimental to say the least, and extremely harmful, because again, it creates this mentality, this conditioning of I have to do this and I have to do that or else I'm going to be wrong. And that's not true. If you're talking about your own creator, your creator knows you inside and out. The Bible says it very specifically many times. He knows what's in your heart. He knows what's in your mind. And if you're doing what's right, you should feel right. And if you're doing what's wrong, you're going to feel wrong.
Gotcha. Well, real quick, go ahead, Justin.
No, I was just going to say one thing about the conditioning point. I think part of it might be conditioning, but I also think part of it is our parents or authority figures, wanting the best for us, wanting us to stay out of trouble.
Mm-hmm.
I know for me, I spent many a nights at church lock-ins, conferences, or church sponsored. They rent out the skating rink or, All American or whatever, whatever it is.
The fun times.
So I think part of that teaching that we got about coming to church every Sunday and being in church, is to keep us out of trouble. Like if you here, well, you can't get nothing out there. Like you can't get any trouble out there. Nothing bad can happen to you out there if we are here and we watch you. But I think, as a lot of things are, they're taken to the extreme sometimes, to where we are now, where we really do believe if I don't go to watch night, I'm gonna have the worst year ever. If I don't go to church every Sunday, God is just gonna be upset at me. He ain't gonna bless. Like it goes to the extreme. And so I think, moving forward, hopefully there's a little bit more balance, and maybe even these pastors or leaders or whoever explaining it a little bit more, like, hey,
well,
this is a great place to come hang out. You know what I'm saying? If you're looking for something to do, come here. Instead of saying, like, if you don't come here, then you're going straight to hell. Like, let's change the narrative.
Right.
Well, and I couldn't agree with that more, but it needs to be changed to just teach people how to be good people and not necessarily to follow this. And I'm not just crapping on Christianity here, because Catholicism, the original Christ-based religion, is way worse with the conditioning, with the indoctrination, with the rules. You go into a confessional in a Catholic church, tell them your sins, and they go, you know what? Just say 10 Hail Marys and 10 Our Fathers, and then you're done. It creates in a human brain, it creates this reward system of do whatever, confess your sins, and then do this, and now you're good again. It's very human. It's very basic, Yeah,
I think even to Janessa's point, though, I mean, sometimes conditioning can just happen, though, just from decision making.
It's human nature. Yeah.
Like I don't, because even with my parents, I don't know if they were necessarily trying to condition me to feel a certain way. Because like I said, like nobody ever told me you don't go to watch night, something happens, you know. And I know those type of conversations do happen with people, but I'm saying my personal experience, I never was told like if you don't, then this will happen. I just know that my parents, especially my mom, like she was definitely going off the whole scripture of, you know, train up a child, yada yada yada. So she's just trying to, you know, granted, you know, this is, I guess, a bit of I don't know if you can call it forcing, but going to the whole, like, if we were born in another country, would we still be Christians? Probably not, or whatever. Like,
yeah,
I had a Christian mother, so it's not like she was like taking me through every religion and was like, you know, this is this what they say, this what they say. It wasn't that. Like, it was just like, this the Bible, this what it say, this, you know, this Jesus, yeah, you know what I'm saying. So
yeah,
but once again, her intention wasn't necessarily like a brainwashing thing. It was, this is, I'm your mom, this is what I believe. You know what I'm saying? And so now I'm teaching
right.
you. So, but I still end up getting conditioned because of routine, which is why I initially asked Janessa that question. Because routine, I think even going to even being PKs, like, you know, you know, your parents having any type of notoriety. If you're a rapper's son, a comedian's son, an actor's son, a singer's, whatever, like I think, or daughter rather, I think that you automatically now have to fit into this bubble of a routine, and now you have to present yourself a certain way, you know, because of whatever the case may be. And it's not that you necessarily want to do it or whatever, but it's kind of what you said earlier, Tara. Like it's the social thing. It's the me as the spectator. I feel better about life when I see you as, you know, Pastor so and so son or daughter acting a certain way. You know what I'm saying? Which is why we're even having, you know, this topic or this podcast or this conversation in the first place about PKs and being the worst one and stuff like that, because you only, that tag was, you know, was created based off of a social, you know.
Yeah, well, I mean,
Resonate.
it's a stigma.
Right.
That's why it's called the worst ones. We didn't make that name up. We were told that name, and
Right.
and the conditioning. You know, the conditioning is not necessarily intentional. Very rarely is it ever intentional. You know, Steven Spielberg, when he made Jaws, he didn't set out to make everybody afraid to go in the ocean. But when you go in the ocean, you think about Jaws. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't his intention. It's just a byproduct of it.
Right.
Yeah.
But I'm saying, but some are intentional, which is why I don't want to like skip over people who may have got a direct like, yo, I'm intentionally brainwashing you to be a certain way, because that may be somebody's experience. But I'm saying just with me, it definitely, out of my, you know, my parents just doing what they felt was right, but it did put, you know, innately in something inside of me that I didn't even realize was there until I got older. Happened to not do it one time and realized like, oh wait, you know.
Well, I liked your
I'm
story
still
about
okay.
watch night because again, nobody told you, nobody sat you down and said, if you don't come to watch night, you're going to have a terrible year.
Right.
But the atmosphere that was put around that gave you that fear inertly. It gave it to you inside without even having to be told, because it's the same reason why a God, the term a God-fearing man is to me one of the most detrimental terms in human history. But it used to be very common. Like, I'm a God-fearing man. I'm a God-fearing man. Why would you fear God? That's like saying I'm a dad-fearing man. I fear my dad. I fear my father.
Fear in the Bible, I always was told that was meant for respect. When you reverence, when you have fear, God fearing, or you fear the Lord, you have respect. Not like you're scared. Not like you're, oh my gosh.
Yeah, but I in the modern sense, it denotes something completely different, because there's fear, love, and respect, and a lot of those can be
let's put a pin in that in your definition, because I think of fear as reverence and respect. So
okay,
it's not modern; it's personal, whatever. And so your personal opinion is:
would you equate fear and love as being equal?
Respect and love? No.
Oh, I said fear and love.
Well, I'm speaking of it in terms of what I think fear means.
Okay. I would, because I've struggled with this forever, and I always say the same thing, especially when challenged. It's just, if God does exist, I love him. Look around. How could you not? How could you not love somebody that gave you life, that gave you a world, that gave you a planet? How could you not love them? You know what I mean? But I would never acknowledge the existence of God and fear him at the same time. Because why would you fear someone that gave you life? Because if they had the power and the ability to give you life, they have the power and ability to take it away. So why would you ever fear them? Because you have no control in the situation.
I think you're absolutely correct, which is why that word fear doesn't mean afraid. Because
right. I get what you're saying.
I think God feels the same way. Like, why would you love and fear and everything that you're saying? So that being true, which is why that word isn't, like I said, in that particular context, meaning afraid as if like, the boogeyman is coming around the corner. It's not, it's not that type of fear.
Well, that phrase did mean that, and it was from
what, to fear God?
Yeah. That came around about the 14th century, about the 1500s. Is where that phrase is from. It's an old English phrase, but I get what she's saying, and I agree that
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
What?
Also, the dictionary, Merriam-Webster and Oxford, God-fearing is having a reverent feeling towards God.
So that's how I was always taught. That's what I was looking. I'm like, isn't it in the Bible? That's how I was always taught.
Me too.
Yeah.
That it was more, like you said, the reverence and the respect for God, not like you said that I'm afraid of him.
Right.
There's the King James version. There's the Terry Wayne version. So
I'm still saying we need to retire that one because it doesn't denote that in a modern age.
It does if you just take it in context. Like, don't try to make it something that it's not. Like, it can be very modern. You just don't have to, you don't have to try to make it something that is not. Like, it's definitely a reverence.
To me, when I hear that phrase, I think of a parent figure waving their finger at you from another.
I'm telling you,
saying do it or I'll spank you.
And I'm telling you to cleanse yourself of that thinking.
Okay. Okay.
But real quick, just for me to answer the question real quick, nothing definitely would change for me if I stopped being a PK. Once again, my whole stance is I think the only way I could even fathom considering something changing is if my dad had just say a Joel Osteen stardom type situation. I don't know what I would do, but that would be the only thing that would make me consider it because of the fact that, and once again, I'm not saying he is Joel Osteen or has his exact church. I'm just saying just that level of notoriety. I would be more conscious of how it affects him. You know what I'm saying? But being that that's never been my experience, I can't really say one way or the other. But if I definitely stop being a PK today, I would still be, I would still be me. I would just not be able to be on this podcast no more. That's about it. So anyway.
But is that because of the spirituality or is it because of the family?
Because I wouldn't be a PK no more. I no longer fit the bill of being.
Well, yeah. I just meant the Joel Osteen thing. No.
Yeah, I'm saying just simply because I may consider how it affects, just say, his brand or how my decisions may, whatever. I'm saying like that may be different if I was in that situation. I don't know. I could be exactly the same. You know what I'm saying? I don't know how I would react, but to me, not becoming a PK anymore, absolutely no change. If there was a different situation as far as notoriety, I'm just saying that's the only way I could see any type of change possibly happening. Not saying it would, but that's the only possibility. And that would be just strictly off of, me affecting him, not so much people's perception of me personally, but just me affecting him directly type thing. So that's what I'm saying.
Well, my existence, my morality, and who I am as a person, because we only get the one chance at life, unless you're Hindu, but we only get the one chance at life. So somebody else's situation, somebody else's notoriety, somebody else's wealth or fame or whatever, never even comes into the equation. It doesn't, and I'm sorry that that's going to hit people wrong, and they're going to be like, "What? Do you not love your dad? You don't want him to be successful?" Of course I do, but what does that have to do with what I'm taking from and giving to the world in the 80 years, hopefully, that I have?
I mean, I think it matters how we affect our family, because I think we talked about this before. Like, if to Kellie's example earlier, like if her parents, you know, dads or uncles or whatever, did get into a whole scandal with babies or whatever. Now,
Sure.
whether you're joking about what you would actually do or not, Kellie, but it definitely would affect you, because like now, if you know when that comes up, you know, like you're the daughter of the dude who had the kids all over the, you know what I'm saying? So like, what we do and what they do, like it affects each other. You feel what I'm saying? So that's why I'm saying. So that's why I'm saying, like, I've never been in those shoes, so I don't know what I would do. My ultimate answer is I don't know how I would handle it. I could possibly be still me, or there could be a difference. But I'm just saying, in the perspective of the two options, as far as no longer being a PK or dealing with a father who has way more notoriety than my dad does, I may consider it on one side as opposed to not becoming a PK. I mean, I'm there will be no excuse, there'll be no reason for me not to do what I'm doing now.
The question has to be asked then, because you just posed it. Conversely, how does their notoriety, their fame, their responsibility to their church, how does that affect you? And do they make choices based on how it might affect you?
As far as how they run their church, no, but I'm saying in the sense of making poor decisions, like, because there's pastors and preachers who've been, who've had, just say, the great falls or whatever you want to call it, and I don't know how much it affected their kids, and not as far as in the public eye, but I'm sure there's somebody out there who has dealt with, oh, your dad is the that guy, or your mom is that lady who, what I'm saying. So how they run their church, I don't know. I don't think that has any effect at all. You know what I'm saying? Unless it's some type of, crazy church, like your dad got letting women twerk in the sanctuary or something, and that may cause a little controversy. You know what I'm saying?
But outside
of that, like
something, yeah.
But outside of that, like, I think for the most part, it's just personal decisions. Like, is it some big scandal? Did they, hurt somebody or whatever? Like, I think that does, matter on both sides. So, not that even with my dad not having notoriety, I wouldn't necessarily want to hurt or embarrass my parents now. You know what I'm saying? Even if they were completely nobodies. But I'm just saying, in the sense of my decision making in reference to being a PK, I've never been in the shoes of having famous parents for any reason, preaching or not. So I've just never thought about on a broad scale, like, oh, if I post this on Instagram, 80 million people gonna see it, so I might be careful. Like, I don't think like that. I'm like, man, these little 500 people, I ain't tripping. So
I will say this really quickly to Terry's question, that I do think that our parents, especially our fathers, have a responsibility to I think fathers, period, have a responsibility to their families, and how their actions impact their wives, impact their children. And so my hope is that my father, as a pastor, as just a man, thinks about what does this mean for my family when I behave in this manner, be it cheating and having a whole bunch of people, be it, whatever, tax fraud, be it whatever. I don't know, gambling, whatever. I think that's just a responsibility for fathers in general. So to answer your question, I feel like, yes, my hope is that my father has me in mind, even as a 34-year-old woman, when he goes about his days and how he chooses to act and respond to things in life, that he thinks about what that means for us. 100%. And I hope that, in addition to his love for God and wanting to do what's right and morality and all of those things that he also thinks of, like I said, us too. Let me not embarrass my family.
Right.
Just like I take the time to let me not embarrass him. He's done so much for me, and I've been blessed with such a great father and family. Then why would I go and do something crazy to kind of ruin their reputation?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think anybody sets out with that in mind.
Unless they
like,
do.
I'm going to ruin his reputation. Like,
oh, yeah, they do.
Unless they did it
yes,
first.
they do.
I mean, well, that's evil then.
You know, like I said, I mean, and I think one thing here, and I really enjoyed, I actually might go back and listen to, I call her True Vocal because that's what her name is on Instagram.
Oh, Mariah.
You know, because it was such a different story because where the four of us are similar is that we all have good relationships and reverence our dads. You know, where you talk about being the worst one, a part of being the worst ones was I am pushing them back from what you expect me to be, and so let me ruin what you think I'm supposed to be by being a bad child. So I don't know. Maybe we need some fresh blood on this conversation and somebody who don't like their daddy here consistently.
Me and my father had our years. You know, we had our years.
But you speak so fondly of him overall.
Overall, yes, because life is a pendulum, right? It swings back and forth from light to dark, and the best you can do as a human being is trying to make those two things equal. And when it comes to him, his light greatly outweighs his dark, but his dark has, you know, its own repercussions as well. And we have had our years. Him and my sister have definitely had their years. And you know, it's a balancing act. And overall, yeah, of course I have reverence for my father because he's done great things, but at the same time, he is a flawed human just like the rest of us. And it is okay to be angry, and it is okay to hold resentment. Just don't let it poison you to the point where your logic and your reason goes out the window.
You fear your father. You said reverence.
No, I like reverence better than fear because I don't fear my father.
He's scared of Terry Wayne Senior.
He's ill right now, and it's not good. But
oh man,
definitely in prayer.
Yeah, he's it's not good.
Do it now. Go ahead, Rudy.
It's
everybody,
it's
hands.
I said we about to pray.
Hands, Janessa, hands. Terry.
Yeah, just all these symptoms.
No. We're about to pray.
Oh, okay. All right, go ahead.
Lord, we thank you for allowing us to be able to come to you anytime that we need you, God. We thank you for you being who you are. We ask right now that you touch Terry's father, Terry Wayne Sr. We ask that you just heal him and anything that's going on with him, God. Just cover him, give him recovery, give him strength, give him peace of mind. And allow those around him to have the same thing and be able to help him and give him everything that he needs, God. We thank you in advance for his healing. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Well, I appreciate that, guys. Thank you very much.
No problem.
Anytime.
Yeah, he's been to about a dozen doctors, and nobody can figure it out what's going on with him. The one week they thought it was Parkinson's, the next week they thought it was cancer, the next week they thought it was this and that. And nobody can figure it out. So, you know, all I know is all this thing started with COVID. First he had COVID, and then all this stuff started and never stopped. So,
gotcha.
I mean, he's 64, but he walks like he's 90. Like, he just barely moves.
As a result of the recent illness?
Nobody knows.
Okay. I mean, he didn't always walk that way. This was just after COVID.
No. 2 years ago, he was swimming in the Gulf of Mexico off Mexico. He was in Mexico swimming in the Gulf. 3 years ago, he was in Greece preaching and swinging off bungee jumps and all this stuff. So, yeah, it's very, very sudden. It's very shook for us because we at first we thought it was long hauler COVID. And we just kept waiting for the symptoms to go away, but then they just never did, and deteriorated more and more. And then he got COVID again, Just wear a mask on planes. That's all I'm saying. Planes especially. So,
well, we'll keep them lifted. Keep them lifted in prayer.
Absolutely.
Hopefully.
Absolutely.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, church announcements.
All right. You can find us on Instagram at the worst ones PK. I learned how to make a reel. Didn't realize reel something different than post.
They complicated.
And let me be clear. Let me be real clear. Let me back up. I didn't make a reel. So I'm back at step like 0.08, 0.98 remedial class.
Okay.
I just learned that there was a difference between a post and a reel. So I didn't make the reel. I just uploaded it and realized it was a reel and not a post. So let me not tell that lie.
You posted a reel.
You stumbled on it.
Yes, I didn't make
you posted a reel. You didn't make it. Yeah,
I did. Yes.
Yeah.
Rudy said, "Make sure you clear."
I'm saying that's still the compliment.
Rudy made the clips. You uploaded it. That's
I made the reel. Yeah. You did not create a reel.
I made the
reel. So that's what they got over social media. That I don't know how long reel's been alive, but
they've been
alive, but around.
It's been a minute. Yeah.
Yep. And I just realized I text Rudy, is a post different from a reel? So new stuff coming. Because now I know how to upload a reel. So you see some reels.
I'm 41 and I know how to do this. Where are you? You're supposed to be the new generation.
I just scroll. I don't post nothing. I just scroll. So I promise new things are coming at the worst ones PK on social media. Of course, Rudy.
It's on Instagram. It's not on social media.
I'm
they
sorry,
look on
Instagram. On Instagram.
Be specific.
Well, if you send me a clip, it's going on Instagram and it's going
on social media.
But I'm talking about the worst ones PK specific tag.
Because the reel make it easy to post it to Facebook. I just gotta find to do a Facebook so I can connect it so I can do both. But that's
you can connect them both. So where you do it once and
I gotta make one first for the I don't know. I gotta figure that out. But it's gonna be on social media soon. Okay. So in addition to Rudy, who always does his job, Wilson, creating the reel, he also makes sure that every Tuesday you can find us wherever you find your podcast, be it YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Google search, whatever you do, type in the Worst Ones podcast. When you get there, make sure you comment, you like, you subscribe, and you share. Thank you to our 5,500,222 followers.
So 500 million, 5 million?
No. I did too many. 5 million. We're not at 500 million yet. The Lord hasn't blessed us there yet.
You've been saying 500 million this whole time, but okay.
Yeah, you have. Yeah.
I thought it was 5 million.
Okay.
No, it was
500 million, 5,022 followers. I don't know. I got to go back and listen to the last one.
It's more like just the 22 followers, but we appreciate y'all. Nonetheless, amen.
We love you and we thank you. To find me on my personal page at Princess Kels 51, it is private. Period.
Y'all can find me at @JRihanna_. Y'all can go to Melanated Brews, but I think I'm gonna take a break. So Rudy, you don't have to put Melanated Brews on there for a minute until I can figure out what I'm gonna do with it. You just find me at @JRihanna_. Let's just focus on one social media, okay? Because I agree, Kelly. I figured out how to do reel, and it was complicated.
See,
but they're really cute and they're really fun. Like the options are limitless. So I'm not gonna commit to doing reels or posting anything on my personal page, but I am going to try.
Did it that quick.
So y'all just follow me there for this attempted reels and stuff. That's it.
Oh, well, I'm the white one. And you can find me at Terry Wayne Comedy on all social media platforms. I will commit to posting any clips that are sent to me. I'm not going to make the clips because I'm old and out of touch, but I will post them. I can do that. And I think Rudy's work is great and appropriate for the amount of free time he has. So
Okay.
no, nothing. All right.
This episode's going long enough.
That's all right. He's gonna edit this out anyway. It's fine.
Nah, it'll be in there.
It's in the catacombs.
Well, wonderful job, gang. As always. Okay, Kellie.
All right, Kelly. Kelly's like, I'm out.
Maybe her phone died or so. I don't know. Okay, but either way, she's gone. So thank y'all for listening. Thank y'all for watching. We'll see you next week. Hey, hold on. She came back.
Oh.
All right, throw your hands up.
All right, dude.